because I have twins, and they're nuts about it. Their middle names are Luke and Leia. So
No.
yeah, I have a boy and a girl. So we started doing the covering up, talking like stormtroopers, because he told me he would much rather be an evil guy than a good guy, you know.
Well, they're more interesting.
They are much more interesting. They have better outfits too.
That's right.
They're much more interesting.
Well, every actor you talk to, you know, they'll say, you know, oh, here's this. They go, I'd like to do that guy.
Yeah, seriously.
The evil
Nobody
guy.
remembers the good guys. Right?
No. Alan Rickman stole the show from Kevin Costner and Robin Hood.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I remember
there's
that.
so many different versions of that where someone's like, oh, here's this star vehicle for me. Then the bad guy, Christopher Walken, everyone else.
It's always Christopher Walken, though. Yeah, you can't beat that. All right, so hey, we're out here at the coffee house. Have you ever been here before? Do you like coffee?
We're at the coffee house.
We are. This is the coffee house. Yeah, it's new here at the center stage. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't realize. I didn't see the sign.
Yeah, well, I'm here with Chipper Lowell from, well, right now you're in the, what's the official name of the show?
Well, it slightly changes, but mostly it's Moon River and Me, a tribute to Andy Williams,
That's easy.
starring
what
Jimmy
would the
Osmond.
acronym be for that?
It's too early for me to put words together
M-R-A-M.
and letters and,
yeah.
and things.
But with Jimmy Osmond.
Yes, Jimmy Osmond, and then we got Charlie Green, who's a fantastic singer over from England. He was in Britain's Got Talent over there.
Yeah, did he win?
I don't think he won.
Probably
but I think
not,
he was
if
like
he's-
2 or
if he's
3.
here.
Yeah. I mean, it's always actually the best thing is not to win.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you don't get tied into the contracts.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure we
Same
talk
as-
about this all the time with entertainers on here, because they come to Branson and try to recruit people for,
Yes.
America's Got Talent.
Yeah, they call me every
popular.
year.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Because they call me too. They called me a few years ago. I've told this story before, actually for 3 years in a row. And so they called me and said, we really want you. And then they sent me video and said, here's the acts we want you to do.
What?
Yes. And I said, well, what about my
Whoa.
acts? And they said, well, we'll let you do a few of the ones. We have some video of things that we like. They just weren't very TV friendly. That's what she told me. So
That's crazy.
it is crazy.
Wow.
But I turned it down the first year because I had an accident, hurt myself really bad. But then the next year I'm like, no, thank you. And then a friend of mine, Todd Oliver, went on. And it
Oh,
didn't-
yeah.
Yeah.
What happened? What accident?
Well,
If you don't mind me
I
asking, 'cause-
ruptured 3 discs in
Wow.
my back. So how about that?
Yeah. See, I'm curious about that because it's the war injuries. Because I totally shattered my wrist completely.
Were you performing when you did it?
I was.
See? Yeah? Well, see, that's good. Mine, I wish I had a better story. No, actually, mine was a combination of CrossFit.
Okay.
Stay away from CrossFit.
Stay away from exercise, is what you're saying.
That's what I
All
say.
exercise.
As Emo Phillips says, some people treat their body like a temple. I treat mine like a well-maintained Presbyterian youth center. So,
Emo's the best.
he is the best.
Oh,
Have you ever met him?
I have, yeah, because
Really?
I live in LA.
As Emo? as...
Well, no,
as
it
a
was
stage?
apart from Emo, but he would probably still does would do material at the Steve Allen Theater, which is
Really?
a small little theater that a lot of us use. Just we're working on new material in LA,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was just working on some new stuff.
And,
Yeah, we're good for now. Thank you.
See how
very
friendly
much.
they are here at the coffee
Service
house?
is amazing.
It is.
Services, yeah.
It is, sir.
Um,
But you met him at the Steve Allen.
Steve Allen Theater, yeah, I think they've given it a different name because now it's like the
It's a performing arts center.
No, it's really not. It's an Institute for Skeptical Thinking.
What?
Yeah,
You mean like Randy and like,
like everything.
Yeah.
And so a lot of performers go through there. As a matter of fact, we saw Eddie Izzard there
What?
working on. Yeah, again, this is the thing that I love about LA.
Uh-huh.
$10 tickets to go see Eddie Izzard work out material for his next
Was he
stand-up
dressed?
special.
How was he dressed?
Just normal.
Fabulous.
Just normal. He's really dressed down lately.
Really?
Yeah, he's pulled away from most of the high heels and everything else.
Yeah, people don't know that because he was on the show The Riches. Do you remember
Yes,
that
he
show?
was great in it.
Which I love that.
Wasn't
And
that a good show?
It was a great show. And so all of my friends were like, yeah, we love that show. We love the comedian. Do you know who that is? And they said it's a little weird that the son on there dresses like a woman. And I go, well, let me explain something to
That's
you,
right.
what the joke is there. So, yeah, but I've seen him perform. And
Yeah,
when
fantastic.
He just says he wears what's comfortable.
Just brilliant.
So good for you.
What's hilarious, though, is watching people who are clueless to buy $10 tickets to see Eddie Izzard and then walk out of there going, gosh, it was really rough. I mean, it was all over the place. Some things hit and some things didn't. It's like, no, it was $10 because he was working on material.
Oh, don't you hate that? Yeah.
You know, it's like, do you think people, like should have had the finished product?
Yeah, right.
I put them in the same category as the tourists who go see the ruins, off a cruise ship, and they're upset that, well, they could have fixed them up.
Yeah, that
we went to the
happened
ruins and we're upset. Why? Well, there's no roof on them.
Yeah.
Where's the roof?
My wife and I did a bunch of cruises way back, and so we were the little guides because you've probably worked on cruise ships.
Yeah.
You can go for free if you're
yes.
what do they call it, a safety guide or whatever it is.
Yeah,
and you have to carry a roll of toilet paper and some aspirin. Basically, isn't that basically it? I mean, that's what they made us carry. You're the safety guy, but they kind of spoiled us, the guys that were running the tour, and so we did a treetop. What do they call it? Rainforest excursion.
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And you walk on these rope bridges and stuff.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we have to collect all the reviews. And people were saying they should have put in proper walkways.
Right.
And they should have paved this and that.
Yeah. An escalator would have been nice.
Yes. We could have watched it on a television.
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
The woods were not wheelchair friendly.
Yeah, I've seen
That's
that.
the complaint. Yeah.
But you get to see cool acts where I'm here in Branson all year. You come in for a couple weeks, right?
I come in for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, just depending on
Whatever you feel like.
schedule. Yeah, really. I was here for a long time last year. This year, just due to scheduling. Originally, the schedule was going to be 2 sets of multiple month runs of Moon River and me. But then my schedule, and especially Jimmy's schedule, he's doing a lot of stuff in England. He just got done with a reality show over there. Really? And stuff. So it literally, and then of course with who else we wanted in the show and things like that, it just kept getting smaller and smaller. And then it just got to this point where we're like, I can't believe we're coming in and doing just 10 shows.
Right.
That's it.
Well, there's 3 of you in the show, right?
There's 3, yeah.
In the band.
Right. We have the band and then the 3 of us. Yeah. Yeah.
But I came and saw the show the other night. I think the first time that I saw you perform was at the Magic Castle. You were there, and Ed Alonso.
Oh, wow.
It would have been back in 2009 or 10 or something like that.
Wow.
And I remember coming and seeing it, and
gosh, I've never worked with Ed. Was he in a different room then?
I don't remember. Well, I think we may have come to see him, and maybe you were in another. I don't know. I remember you being there because I saw you on stage. Because as soon as you wheeled out the trunk,
Yeah.
it's like your thing. Everybody needs a trademark.
Really, is that a trademark? The
I
trunk?
don't know.
Well, when I used to do the comedy club circuit, there was way back in the day where they would see the trunk and get excited. And they'd be like, "Oh, you're Carrot Top! Finally, Carrot Top's here!"
Oh my god!
I'm like, "No." They go, "Well, you got the trunk." I'm like, "You got to carry my props."
Right.
But
You got to put them in.
And back then, Carrot Top was bringing in 2 to 3 trunks and small little comedy clubs to do his act and stuff.
You know what? Everybody uses him as a punchline, but that guy makes $50 million a year.
Well,
at least.
not only that, but if you go see his show, it's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic, and it's always great to watch. To send people to it.
Yeah,
Go see it. Oh, no, go see it. And then afterwards, he was great. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, of course he is.
And,
but you and I both do comedy magic.
Yeah, and by the way, first time I saw you was last year. At
the Showboat.
At the Showboat, and you were fantastic. It was
thanks.
great.
Did you come on purpose? Or was it
what do you mean? To see all the shows? Just to see the shows. Just to see the shows in town.
That's okay. All right.
Yeah.
I just wondered if
came on purpose.
I get people all the time that entertainers will say, "Hey, we saw you at the show, but we didn't mean to come to that."
It was an accident. I fell onto the boat. They served me dinner. Yeah.
It happens. That's how we keep. We used to do a joke that we're the only theater in town that can keep you.
Yeah.
Like you can't really walk out of our show.
Exactly.
Too easily.
That's right.
Not too easily. But you do comedy magic, and speaking of Carrot Top and stuff in comedy clubs, it's a little rough sometimes doing that.
But it's a great
club.
training. It's great training. I mean, that's the reason I did it early on. I would do the Comedy Zone circuit through the South and the East, the improvs. I still do a couple of the improvs from time to time. But the truth is that if you can handle any range of that audience, you can handle anything at all.
Yep.
Anything at all, First time that I got heckled badly, I mean, just a string of curse words thrown at you. You're scared. You're scared.
So your parents come and see the show.
Yeah. And Mom, but some guy just went off on me. Really, it was like South Dakota or I forgot where it was.
Oh, they're rough there.
And it was weird because you just get this feeling of oh, that's it? Mm-hmm. That's all you got?
Yeah.
It's kind of like having a new car and you're scared of getting the first scratch on it. And then so you get it scratched, you're like, okay, now it's just a car.
Right.
And it was totally like, oh, this is nothing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, just to be able to turn right around and throw it right back at you because, you have the mic.
I say that all the time. We get people, they come to the show, but we'll do a lot of high school trips or proms. And they always feel the need to heckle, especially magicians, I think. Because you and I both interact with the audience a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm often like, dude, seriously, you're not going to win this.
Yes,
like,
right.
I've done prisons, I've done biker clubs,
and shows. And shows in them.
Yeah. So some 14-year-old, honor student is not
That's right.
cause a problem. But you come from an entertaining family because I see you on Facebook posting some of the pictures of your dad. As
I'm second
clown.
generation. Second generation, and I grew up on circuses. My dad was a clown back in the late 50s and through the 60s, and eventually went on to work on Ringling Brothers. He was there for 7 years. My mom was a dancer and an aerialist, and they met on Ringling Brothers, and then they finally got married. They got off the road. They moved to California. They had me. We all went back on the road, and we were on the road probably 8 to 9 months or 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And stuff. We had a big A-frame rigging in our backyard for my mom to practice her aerial acts.
Like the silks?
And stuff. She didn't do silk. She did Spanish web, which is the thicker. Does Janet do Spanish web? She does silks.
No, she does the silks. And the hoop sort of
Spanish web, big, thick, soft rope, and you're doing like these death
Oh, yeah, she does
spins
do that, actually. She
like
added that in.
Okay. And so my mom used to do that. My mom also did hair hang, where you hung by
that's scary.
your hair.
Yeah.
It's the law of,
the hair on her head.
Yeah, the hair on her head. Volunteers.
Yeah.
People in the audience go and collect them and bring them in. And then she did iron jaw, where she hung by her teeth. And we had new neighbors move into our next door to us at home, and they looked over the fence one day, and they saw my mom basically hanging there anywhere 4 to 6 weeks before going out on tour. She would literally hoist herself up just hanging by her teeth. Her teeth are on a metal strap, and on the strap is an inside impression of what her, the inside of her mouth and jawline is. So that's why it's iron jaw. It's your jaw, but you're holding up everything by your neck and shoulder muscles. So she would be strengthening herself by hanging there, and the neighbors called the cops because the woman was committing suicide. That she was hanging herself, worried that my mom was, and that's how we met our neighbors.
Oh, really? We have a similar kind of much worse story about my grandpa was in World War II, and he came back with a lot of souvenirs of, for example, some flags and stuff like that from the other side.
Wow, yeah.
And so he had them all, and some uniforms and stuff. And then during the late 60s, I'm told, my grandmother decided to get them out, they were musty. So she washed them all and hung them out on the clothesline.
Oh, my goodness.
And all the neighbors see all these swastikas, and the police came to ask them why there were all these swastikas and Nazi uniforms. And,
see, that's the beauty of people not ever knowing the full story of anyone.
Yeah. See, I don't talk to my neighbors, so they probably wonder what in the world's going on.
Right.
So,
well, early on, I was roommates with Kevin James, magician Kevin James, Nicholas Knight, who's no longer in magic, and the three of us rented a house in Garden Grove, California. And where our house was situated, there was an apartment complex behind us that could look down into our backyard. And we got called not once, but 3 separate times over the 3 years we were there that we were performing satanic rituals.
Oh.
Because Kevin is working on, cutting a duck's head off and flipping the duck head in his hands and then putting it back onto the body of the duck and having it, I'm working with some knives and swords.
And then you have a trunk that you keep loading in your car.
I'm trying to think, was I even using a trunk back then? The trunk was just practical. That's why the joke in the beginning of throwing the dummy was like I needed to justify this big giant trunk on stage, But yeah, we had people that just assumed we were the worst thing. It's like, no, we're just performers, but cops would knock on the door. And,
yeah, we get that too. Because they'll see in my garage, I'll be building props and stuff like that.
Yeah,
hey buddy, what you doing there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, mine looks like a meth lab along with, there's body parts hanging,
Yeah.
things that are drying and stuff. And you get the new mailman that's, taking over for the regular mailman just to do his route. And, boy, do they walk up slowly up the driveway.
We had a UPS guy. When I first came to Branson, well, I do a lot with straight jackets, but I do like different comedy versions of straight jacket. My act is kind of making fun of traditional magic stuff.
Yeah.
And so I thought it'd be cool and a cool look if we displayed them all in my garage. So the whole back wall with all these straight jackets and stuff. And one time the UPS driver had to come up and he wouldn't come all the way down. Like, you have to come down into my house. And he would not.
Because what if that was a halfway house for people that were...
What kind of halfway house would that be?
They're mental, but now they're just a little better.
A little, yeah.
Just,
well, welcome to Branson.
Well, yeah.
But I love Kevin James, by the way. I worked with him at a convention for the Magicians Alliance years and years ago.
Yeah.
And actually had to take him to the grocery store to buy roses for his his thing. We had a nice afternoon talk, but he's a really nice guy. But you get to see all these people, and I can see influences in your show. Maybe you have some of the same as me, like Amazing Jonathan. He really got me into like what magic could be without being...
That was the key, is I saw his first special. I got to work with him a couple times in Vegas, which was a blast. And but when I was young and I saw the first special, there were a couple people that told me, let's put it this way, they directly or indirectly gave me permission to do anything I wanted. I hated the people at the Magic Castle that said, you got to do it this way, and this is the only way, and this, I had the people that said, well, what are you? Are you a comedian or are you a magician?
Yeah.
Are you a juggler or are you a magician? Are you, and I was like, well, I'm doing it all.
You're an entertainer. That's what I like to say.
Yeah, but they were very strict on what the rules were and stuff. So anyone that broke the rules, I gravitated towards. And whether it was Amazing Jonathan breaking the rules of what magic was or making fun of it, a lot of stand-up comedians, theatrical performers like Bill Irwin that really wanted to jump from clowning into more performance art theater and things like that. Jeff Hoyle, others. So anyone that gave me permission, that was like, no, don't. Why are you going down that same path? Go take your own road. Love them. Yeah,
that's kind of what I did. I never went to shows. Like, I never got to go see other people, so I just did what I thought was funny.
Right.
Where I would watch the old, what were those called?
Kinescopes?
Yeah. No, the show was on every year, World's Greatest Magic. Was that it? Or,
there's so many.
Matt King was on.
That was World's Greatest.
Yeah. And so I'd watch these, and I would see Cole and Company.
Yeah.
And I would see some of these people, and I'm like, what in the world? So you don't have to do linking rings, And so then when I had the same thing as you. When I did the Magic Castle, great feedback. But I had a few guys, well, you should be wearing a tuxedo. You know, those guys like that. I get it here too, all the time.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Even when they see the act, they're like, well, maybe you should focus on the magic more, because there was too much comedy.
Yeah, I get that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had that comment on my Facebook last week. I post some videos every once in a while, and somebody wrote in and said, I got tired of all the comedy.
Yeah.
Get to the trick.
Well, there is there is some type of a chasm or a void where people, if they cannot place the round peg in the round hole, they get very, very nervous.
It's very disturbing to them.
And so they back away and they say, well, why can't you be that round peg? Why can't you? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, the same thing. Because actually, this particular set I'm doing in this show is actually a little more magic than I normally do. Where last time when I was working with the Osmonds last year and with Colin Ray and with Mary Wilson and stuff, the first set was all gags, and the second set was the cigar box routine. But and so really that was really the only magical thing,
See, I like that. I get tired of going to a show and it's trick.
Yeah.
To me, that reminds me.
Even the first routine I do here with the radio helmet and and the stuff. Every so often, people like it, but every so often, like you said, you're going to get the one person that says, "Just get on with it."
Yeah, let's do it. Well, here's my favorite comment I ever had. I was doing Steve Bedwell's Ropes Over the Head. Yeah. Okay, but I have I think like you, I find something I like, I buy gimmick or whatever, and then I come up with my own.
Absolutely.
So many people don't do that. It drives me insane. They don't understand what the problem is with that.
No, I'm
so
a
I had
big
my
advocate
own.
for that.
Yeah, obviously. I saw. But so I have this whole thing, and my agent loves that routine. He thinks it's genius, right? And so I started noticing reviews, which I tend not to read.
Yeah. You can't.
No, you can't, especially here, because you get people that really haven't seen a lot of show. They don't get it,
Well, they're not qualified. I mean, I hate to say it, but I always joke about, I always say, where's their resume?
Right.
Where's the audience's resume?
And you can't respond to them. That's
No.
the worst part. Like on
No,
TripAdvisor, I'm like, no, you totally missed. Well, this is one of them. The woman wrote, if you want to go see magic that you can tell how it's obviously done, comma, we could see you throw the ropes up in the air, comma, go see someone that's trying to get into magic. And I just got so frustrated. I had to take it out of the show. I had to take it out of the show.
Oh, but that would kill me. I mean, I
know,
feel
but
for
I
you
couldn't
because
take
that's
it.
that. Yeah.
I could not take it.
But
And-
there's people that
Oh gosh, I can't even tell you how frustrating that gets.
No. I know.
Oh,
I know.
I have a routine that I love.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do, and it has to do with I do a lot of switching with characters in the show.
Yeah.
You saw me do it. But I had one with a bunny, giant guy and a bunny, not a giant guy, but a guy in it.
I know
There was a bunny. Comes out, gives me props and stuff, and I keep telling people to watch the bunny, watch the bunny, watch the bunny. He's helping with misdirection.
Right.
And he keeps stealing carrots, and I keep hiding, whatever. And so at the end, I become the bunny. At some point, I'm talking, and the bunny takes off his head, and it's me as the bunny. Everyone loves this at our theater. They were like, this is smart, you know. I kept getting comments, we don't get it. All you did was disappear from over here and become the bunny. That was...
All you did.
I'm not kidding. Somebody wrote a letter in. I don't get what the trick was. All he did was disappear from one side and become that bunny on the other.
Yeah.
Like, that was the trick.
No,
So-
but it's you almost have to have the trappings of a quote-unquote typical, stereotypical, cliched act for them to go, oh, now that's a magician.
Yeah, right.
Sorry,
And do you
sorry,
find that
by
when
the
you
way,
come-
sorry I made that accent. Now that's magic.
There you go. Is that German? Because we're at the coffee house. We're out of the coffee. But coming to Branson, have you had to adjust your act? Because I had to quite a bit. I was doing a confabulation type routine. And after a few weeks, I had my producer come and say, maybe you want to switch it to something more visual. You know, it's a great routine and you're fooling everyone. But maybe... I was doing a take on Groucho Marx, and I had a duck that came down with the secret word.
Oh, sweet.
And it was a method that Max Maven came up with. And so I'd go over and pull off a little scroll and read it later, and it would recount everything that had gone. And he said, maybe just something visual. Do you do anything like just chop somebody up? Or, you know, like, have you had to adjust?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, and I was worried about that, to be honest, when I first did Branson, which was Christmas show 2014.
Yeah.
Over there, I was really worried about that because I had been to Branson 20 years earlier, not performing, but my wife was a Radio City Rockette, and she happened to do a contract at the big, the theater next door to me.
Oh, the Grand Palace?
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, where Dino was. There was a fire there that year as well that shut down production.
Does she have anything to do with that? Or
Well,
you know
we
of?
wanted some time off, and it's a good
It's
reason.
like, quick, get in the trunk.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
No, actually, I flew in to see her. We were dating at the time, and I flew in, and literally the night that I got in, she said there was a fire earlier today. I was like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, we're done. We're down for 2 weeks, but we're all staying because they're still paying us, and they're quickly flying in new sets and
Wow.
everything they can from New York to try to get at least to save the rest of the season for Christmas." So we had 2 weeks to goof around, see all the other shows. But because of that, I'm looking at all the other shows in town. I was like, oh, this is a different animal.
Yeah, it is.
And that was 20 years ago. And so I really, to be honest, swore off Branson for 20 years.
20 years.
And it was Jimmy, of all people, that called me a couple years ago and said, you know, would you have any interest to come in and do it? And I said no. I think about 2 or 3 times. And then I was like, well, let me look at it this way. Jimmy's a great guy. It's going to be with the Osmonds. Great act. It's going to be at the best theater that I like, you know, at Andy Williams Theater. It's going okay, if I was ever going to do Branson, I've got it all.
It's
like
perfect,
It's
yeah.
perfect. Sure, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
I'll just come in and do, And I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Now the good news is the other shoe never dropped. I never got cornered off to the side, of people asking religious questions. I never got everything I expected Branson to be 20 years earlier. Instead, Branson has got 2 Walmarts and a Best Buy and a Lowe's and a Home Depot, and
It's changed a lot.
it's changed so much.
Yeah.
20 years ago, we flew into the small little airport in Springfield, and you'd get off. There'd be one little building, and you'd go in, and we were waiting for our bags. We're waiting. Our bags aren't coming, and so we walk over to the small counter where there's a lady behind the counter, and we said, "I'm so sorry. Do you know when the bags are going to arrive from our plane? Because our plane's the only one out there." And she says, "Oh, just one second. I got to finish with this customer." She finishes, and she puts a cap on and walks over and brings our bags out.
They still do that. Have you seen them do that?
No.
Yeah.
But and then I said, "Are you going to be our taxi driver? Are you going to?"
Yeah.
And she didn't get the joke, which made me worried.
Oh, yeah.
But it's changed immensely. I have had to. I'm not a dirty act. I never have been really dirty.
But you do your show nude, which is...
Yeah, but I clean. I wash. So, I can get PG-13 to R-rated if I'm working a comedy club or things like that. Mm-hmm. But mostly, it's really, it's. I mean, my regular show that I tour with performing arts centers is G-rated. Right. I always say it's edgy, but kids age 9 and up,
right,
kind of deal.
Yeah.
And do that. But Branson, there's just a couple of things I would just tweak here and there. I didn't want to offend Jimmy. I didn't want to offend the audience.
You got all the Osmond jokes and all that
and stuff. No, I actually threw more in, which they were fine about. You know,
he seems like a good sport about that.
Very good sport. He's well aware of if someone's making fun of you, you've succeeded.
Really?
Oh
man, I am huge. My wife must think I am. Just
no, but what I mean is I don't mean like good or bad, but
right.
Chris Angel, when he made it big, and I don't know if you saw like my glove routine where I pull the gloves off. There's a video up online of it.
I think so.
But I poke fun at Chris Angel in it, and the way that came about is I was doing it at the Castle. Chris Angel was in the audience along with his management team, like 7 or other 8, guys. Mm-hmm. He had just finished season 1 of Mind Freak, and very pompous and
what?
What?
Chris Angel?
And people backstage, Brian and others were saying, are you gonna? He's out in the audience. You gonna make fun of him? I go, yeah, yeah. And I did about 10 minutes on him, and just ad-libbing all this stuff. And I have to say, he just sat there and laughed. Loved it. Afterwards, he talked to me, and
then he sued you.
Yeah. But what was interesting is that I thought that material. I mean, I ad-libbed it, and then it wound up just being that routine of everything I had ad-libbed, and I wrote a couple other things. And that routine stayed exactly the same for years in the States. But more importantly, when I went to Canada, England, Australia, New Zealand, and touring over there, they got all the jokes, including the fact that I was poking fun at him because he was, a bit of a...
Had a lot of self-esteem.
So much self-esteem.
Yeah.
No, but they really, they got the joke. It was like you're performing for a lay audience. First, you're performing this for magicians.
Right.
And they're getting the joke. Then you realize the lay audience gets the same joke.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize people in other countries get the same joke. Over in Australia, New Zealand, his specials were airing like episodes of MASH. They were like 2 or 3 episodes a day.
How can they do? Why do they put themselves through that? They got that. They got the snakes. They got the spiders. Everything.
Oh my gosh, the
Everything's
snakes, the spiders
over there.
Oh, it's crazy. But it was interesting to see that change, and I had some people chastise me. Why are you making fun of Chris Angel and stuff? And I go, the audience is laughing.
Yeah.
Which tells you there's a bigger thing taking place.
Uh-huh.
If they didn't agree with it, I'd stop. But
Right.
they absolutely agree with it to the point of applauding.
Right. Yeah, I had a. I hate YouTube. Right,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, so
but
do I.
it is what it is, it's a necessary evil for us. And so, yes, I post things on there, but I usually have a disclaimer if you're, because you know as well as I do.
Yeah.
You get all these guys at frame 119, you do this and
Yes.
that. Who cares? And I even have a disclaimer. If you're going to do this, I don't care. It's not about the trick or, whatever.
Yeah.
But I did a joke years ago when Copperfield was going through everything with Claudia.
Yes.
And I found old footage of it, and I posted it on as one of these throwback things. Here's me doing colleges back in 90s, whatever it was.
Right.
This guy sent me this long email just a month ago. How dare you say that Copperfield, blah, 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 blah. Like, list all, and I go, dude, it's from 1998. And this stuff was going on. Like, you're totally missing the point of it.
Yeah.
Just so out of touch.
Well, they don't. And I'm kind of that
It's always
way.
a magician, though.
Well, yeah, it is. I'm that way with Facebook. I will not accept Facebook friends unless I actually know them, and more importantly, they understand my sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I've had to stop doing that. I used to get every magician you could imagine.
No, yeah,
And I tend not to do that because I don't want them.
yeah.
First of all, I get emails all the time. We love this routine. I do Colin
Yeah.
McLeod's Invisible Book.
Yeah.
And where can I want to start doing this, or I want to start doing that.
Right.
And like constantly, I'm like, why don't you pick something different? Like, this is something I just happened to see him perform at the Magic Castle or whatever.
Right. Well, the thing is,
And I got his permission. You're like looking at my video, it drives me crazy.
yeah. There's the thing they never understand is that our journeys for our routines are fought hard.
Yeah.
From concept to tweaking to putting it up
Lawsuits and-
to to back and forth. I've had routines where I pop them up on stage for a couple months. I get sick of them. I throw them away for a couple of years. Then I go back and return to them because I've discovered a little something new. To twist it one more thing. Well, even with the radio tower routine, I don't like something that is straightforward. I'm going to read your mind, boom, here it is.
Yeah, it's boring.
So I like the idea of possibly getting it wrong and having it sit there next to the table for the next 5 to 7 minutes.
Right.
Because, now okay, guys, anyone listening to this podcast, we're talking magic stuff. You may want to tune out.
No, the
because-
magicians will tune it. They'll tell us what minute.
That's right. Yeah. Because I like the idea of controlling what the person is thinking in regards to how something is done.
Mm-hmm.
I like controlling, instead of them going, well, I like them thinking, how did he get back to that piece of paper within the next 7 minutes to change it?
Right.
So you've set them up for something they can never solve.
Right.
Because you've totally, there's red herrings. I
yeah.
love red herrings.
Oh, you need to come out to the showboat because
Yeah.
my new act is based entirely upon that principle.
Oh, cool.
I have something, and then I do 12 minutes of other stuff. The secret stuff is done.
Yes,
And
yes.
even my technicians are like, "You're done way before anybody thinks you're going to do something."
That's the best.
And
It really
then
is.
at the very end, I'm like, "Oh, by the way, I forgot this."
Yeah.
And then you point it out. And
Yeah.
And it's
well,
so
you and
detached.
I have a lot of similar people that we look at. Colin and Darren Brown, who
Matt King, probably.
Mac is fantastic. That's the thing is these are people that are presenting full routines, not little,
They're theatrics. Darren Brown, I try to get people to watch him that I work with.
Yeah.
And they say kind of what you're saying. They say, it took so long for him to get to the, but it's a whole
It's brilliant.
theatrical.
It is so brilliant. It is brilliant beyond brilliant.
I like when he does the callback. You might remember the first person did this,
That's
the
right.
second person did this, or
Yeah.
this has been on stage. And
Yeah,
it's
and,
a genius.
and the fact that there is, 5 endings. Boom, the ending's done. He's taking his bow. He's leaving the stage. Oh, it's the Columbo thing. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
Coming back, and you literally, that he and Andy Nyman and others are literally going, no, we haven't blown their minds yet.
Yeah.
What else can we add into this? All
Uh-huh.
right, now what else?
Yeah,
now
one
what
person's
else?
not clapping there. Let's add one more thing to
Yeah.
this. So.
Just brilliant. I'm a big fan. I'm a fan of stuff that can be both silly and cerebral at the same time. I think Mike Myers was asked, in regards to comedy, do you prefer cerebral comedy or fart jokes or whatever? He goes, I don't see the distinction.
Right.
funny is funny. You know, it's only after the fact. It's only after you literally step back and analyze it. But if your gut reaction is to laugh at both of them, then it's funny.
Yeah. What difference?
You know, I had a lady that, because, you know, to be honest, I've pulled back on the fart jokes here in Branson, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah,
I had some.
some.
But
my wife's like, oh, you could never pull that one off.
Right.
Yeah.
And but to be honest, I pulled a couple of them back, and still, this was last year. I had a lady. She was like in her 80s, almost 90, and she came up and she goes, "You are very funny, very, very funny, except for the fart joke." And I looked at her and I said, "Did you laugh?" She goes, "Well, of course I laughed."
Right.
But, and I went, "Well, wait a minute, but you laughed."
Mm-hmm.
"Well, yes, but I shouldn't have." And,
Yeah.
and then I'm like,
you get that here all
right.
the time.
And then I say, well, I say, then I think you've got some other issues to work on. And she looked at me and I said, no, honestly, if you sincerely laughed at it and it was funny and it's really not dirty and everybody does it because we all have bodily functions, I think there might be some other things to look at. And she just looked at me and she started kind of nodding.
And then she wrote a letter.
Yeah. Then she wrote a letter.
Because you get that here, for sure.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, I've been okay with that. Some of the reviews will because that's easier for them to write. A letter
you
involves
tend not to get people that want to give positive comments. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, in general, when somebody's writing a review, they don't go out of their way to praise things. They usually want to do it to warn people. They feel like it's their duty.
It's their duty, yeah.
And we even
it's the guardian. There's a guardian theory.
There is that here, by the way.
What?
I had a woman come up to me after the show and she said, "I'm with the Sisters of the whatever, and we go around to shows to make sure that they're wholesome so we can recommend them."
Well,
and you passed. That's what she said.
Okay, well, back in the day, and I don't know if you know this or not, there were contracts that had an additional clause in the contract here in Branson. I won't name which shows, but they were there, which stated that your act or routine in the show had to be approved by the Council of Pastors.
What?
Yeah. And in order to connect with those people that would then tell other people and tell, you had these shows that would be like, yeah, we'll put that in our contract and stuff. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I ran into that. I didn't know that's what it was, but I had somebody that saw my show. I had been doing an act for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And I tweak it every once in a while, update a little bit. But it was a staple. It was my finale for 5 or 6 years. This guy saw it and didn't like it. Okay, just didn't like it.
Yeah.
It involved wearing a straitjacket, and he said that was a dirty thing to have on stage, and that I could use handcuffs, but straitjackets.
Really?
This was a good example of I just learned a lot about somebody.
Yeah.
And so took it out of the show because people were worried that he would tell other people about this, and he had influence. So
yeah, it's the worry of the worry. The guardian thing extends. I've lectured about this to people. If you have an audience of adults, say you have 800 adults, and there's one child, and that child is in the first row, center. Now that entire show has to be geared to that child, for simply because you have 800 guardians of that child. Right. Unconsciously, subconsciously, indirectly, they're all kind of judging every joke like, well, is that appropriate for that kid? Because we can see that kid in the front row. If that kid is in the back of the house, no one cares. If he's hidden or she's hidden, no one cares.
Hence the trunk that you have. You could have solved that.
That's right, exactly. And the same goes like the routine where I pull my the skin off my arm, which is part of it.
Did you do that?
I didn't do it here.
Mm-hmm. I told my son about it. We were watching for it. So.
But there are times when I just won't do it, and it's my decision not to do it. Why? Because there might be someone that's missing an appendage that's in the first or second row that everybody can see. Mm-hmm. I know he doesn't care, to be honest, because they don't.
Right.
But I know that everyone else will care for them.
That is a good name for that, because I do some jokes about Amish, because I grew up in Amish country.
Yes.
And they're not mean. There's nothing mean about them whatsoever. But I get people that come out and say, you shouldn't do that.
Right. Except they're missing the fact that the Amish would laugh just as much.
We're sitting there, and I even have a video that I've shot on my phone when I had a group of Amish people at our show.
Yeah.
And they're like, we loved your jokes about this and that, and here's one for you. And they gave me a joke, and I posted it, and people said, well, they're not. They're not real Amish. Other Amish would be upset by that.
Right, right.
Like they're justifying it.
Well, it's the same thing as the amount of Mormons that are going to see the musical, The Book of Mormon.
Right.
It's huge.
Yeah.
My parents are Mormon. And so, they were the first to go buy tickets for it.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious because my wife and I went and saw it a couple months later, and it's fantastic.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's so unbelievably politically incorrect and funny.
I love that.
Funny as hell.
I know you do too.
Funny as hell.
Yeah.
But my parents, because I'm always like, you guys liked it? And I think what my parents are doing is they're still to this day struggling with the fact that they've been in show business for so long, but they're also Mormon, but they're in show business. But
right.
And so some things they're okay with because they're like, well, that's just show business, and stuff. So with that, they were hilarious. But of course, I'll give you the perfect example. If I sent them to go see Carrot Top. Now we'll go back full circle. I had my show in Tahoe in one of the smaller theaters at the Horizon. In the larger theater, Carrot Top was doing the weekend there, performing. My parents come into town. I get them tickets to all the shows in town. And I say, I've never seen, at that point, I'd never seen Carrot Top. I heard great things. So I said, I'm going to send you to see Carrot Top. Well, okay. All right. So I go send them to see Carrot Top. I do my shows. I have two that night, 7 and 9:30. Between shows, I run over, open the back doors of the theater that Carrot Top's in. The place is going nuts. They are laughing. It's packed, having a great time. I can see my parents down near the front in a booth, center stage. The casino has treated them like royalty. Everything's great. On stage, though, Carrot Top has a giant stuffed dog that's like 6 feet, 7 feet tall. He's getting it drunk, miming that he's making the dog drink beer.
Right.
And then doing unnatural acts with the dog on stage.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, I sent my parents to this. Oh, what am I? Oh, no. I'm so embarrassed. So I go back, I do my last show. We all meet up after all the shows around midnight. We go to eat at the 24-hour cafe at the casino. And I said, very tentative, what'd you think of the show? And my mom and dad, especially my mom, oh my goodness, he was hilarious. He was so funny. Oh, we loved it. Thank you so much. I was like, so relieved.
Right,
I'm like, you really liked it? Oh, it was the best. Oh, thank you. That we had such a great time. Really? Okay. All right. Great. Okay, cool. I couldn't believe it. Next day, we go and we tour another part of Tahoe. Third day, now we're taking a boat out on the lake, and out of the blue, we're looking at the serene, beautiful lake and the mountains, and everything's great. Literally out of the blue, like silence, like we're looking at the water is still, it's just a beautiful day. Out of the blue, my mom says, he could have done without that humping the dog bit. She had been thinking about it for 3 days because and
that's funny to me that your mom sat and thought about it for 3 days.
For 3 days,
yeah.
And I said, it wasn't a real dog, Mom. I didn't know. Yeah. But yeah, people coming to terms. But there is that, there is a guardianship of.
I'm going to use that term.
Yeah.
Because that's
please.
very true. I'm going to tell, because we try to figure it out at our show. Because 9 times out of 10, somebody that complains about whatever it is, a song we do or whatever, has no relationship to that.
No relation. They are worried about. They are worried about a guy in a wheelchair. They're worried about a child. They're worried about all these other. But they never take the action of going up to that person and saying, "I'm sorry, I have to ask. Did you find that offensive?" Or, it's very indirect. I don't even know if they're aware that they are putting themselves in this guardian position. To be honest, because there's an amount of self-awareness that is not occurring.
Right. Well, you saw my show last year. I did a bit with where I become an old man in the show with a mask and so on. And that took years to come up with this whole thing that I was doing. And we had somebody make a big point of going to the office, writing letters, saying, Christopher upset this old man at a show so bad that we spoke with him and his wife, and they were embarrassed to walk through the lobby. And they were on our tour. They were on a tour a few days later when we were there for the week, and they were distraught by this. And we didn't know what to do. Like, what do you do to somebody like that? Like, you don't want to say, listen.
Yeah.
Stop eating paint.
Right, paint chips. Yeah. Okay, well, I've got a similar story. there's a bit that I do in my touring show, and I was doing it on the West Coast. And if someone gets up from the audience and they go to the bathroom or whatever, and I can make some jokes about it. And then what I have is I do a joke where I say, okay, well, we'll be watching you on the big video screen.
Right.
Ha, 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 ha. They leave, and then I immediately call up to the tech booth. Go ahead, turn it on. And now you see a surveillance camera of the actual inside of the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
And you see the door open, and I've got it timed perfectly so that the surveillance camera is sweeping the room. So you see the door open, and you only see a figure walk in. And when the surveillance camera comes back, you see a stall door close. So I can use it for anyone, men or women, that are going, quote, to the bathroom during the show. Well, it's hilarious. And then there's a great callback later on where I say, are they not back yet? Can we take another look? And now you see a toilet roll from underneath one of the stalls and them trying to pull it back in. And then I do a third callback if they still haven't come back. And I say, what's taking them so long? And now you just have a figure completely rolled up in toilet paper like a mummy, just dancing and goofing off in the middle of a bathroom, And so this lady, very irate, because her husband got up, went to the bathroom. After the show, got management. Management had to call me out, everything, and we're all there. And she said, I am absolutely disgusted that you would videotape my husband going to the bathroom, of all things, going to the bathroom. And the husband's like, honey, it's okay. It's all right. No. I'm gonna call the police about this. I'm gonna file, and we said, could you come with us, please? Yeah. And we walk her up to the tech booth and I go, it's a DVD. We're putting it in. And we play this for every show. And if you watch, it's not your husband, it's everybody. And the joke is that it could be anybody.
Right.
And the husband is laughing hysterically. And she turns beet red. And she goes, and she knew she was wrong, but she had to save face. And she said, well, you just made that tonight.
Oh, that happened to us last
week.
week.
You just recorded that tonight.
Yeah.
So we know. Yeah. And the husband just turned to her and said, whatever her name was, Agnes, leave it alone.
Yeah, right.
And
we had that just last week. We had somebody very upset about something. I give away I do art here in town. I have a little art gallery.
Yeah, I saw some. It's great.
Yeah, and so we give some away. If you buy my DVD, I give you a little souvenir print that I sign. And I have a sign that says free with the purchase of a DVD. And so I put out a certain amount every show, like 40 of them.
Right.
I walk out and they're all gone. All of them, which never happens because
I
barely sell anything. And I look over and a woman has them under her arm.
What?
40 of them. And I went over and I said, did you want to buy those? Or, I was trying to be nice about it. Did you want to buy 40
Benefit
of the same
doubt.
thing? I'm acting like I'm naive. I know what she's doing. And she said, it says free. And I said, no, you must have misunderstood. It says free with the purchase of a souvenir DVD. It clearly says it. Yeah. No, it doesn't. So we walk over. She sees the sign. She goes, just made that. She goes, he made this sign to make me look foolish. They put this sign out to make me look foolish. And she made a huge stink about it.
Oh, I wish you had recorded that.
Yeah.
Oh.
We used to record because people would say stuff like that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. But your bathroom thing, real quick, because we are way over.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
having too much fun. No, it's fun. Is that I didn't know you did that, but I have something similar at my house because we have cameras around our house to monitor because our kids go outside just so we can see. And so as a joke, we made some of the inside, and all we did was hold a camcorder up in the corners and record 10 seconds, and then we loop it.
Right.
And then in our bathroom, we have a very distinct sculpture in our bathroom. So we did one of the bathroom, too.
Yeah.
And so I have a DVD, and it's just flipping through them, and it's on my TV when we have parties over. If the kids are outside, it'll flip between the live one and these.
That's awesome.
And so we wait until someone uses the bathroom, then we slip it, turn it to that, and when they come back, we're just talking, and we can see them looking over my shoulder, and they'll see our bathroom pop up. And I never say a word about it. And I just wait for them to say something, and they very rarely do.
That's my kind of joke.
Very rarely.
I love that.
I love that. That's fun. Well, thanks for talking with us.
Oh, man,
and,
pleasure.
Yeah, it's fun. We'll have to do some more sometime.
Yeah.
You and I got to take a little scooter. We'll record for real here next time. I don't even think this thing's on. I don't know how it works. But you're at Andy Williams Country Theater.
No.
Citywide.
Wrong.
City Hall.
Andy Williams Performing Arts
benefit of
Center over at Andy Williams Performing Arts Center. Yeah.
There you go. Well, you're doing that, but you're also going to be on, what is it, World's Greatest?
Oh, yeah, Masters of Illusion starts up again.
With Gay Blackstone.
May
I was going to film one of those way
20th.
back.
Yeah, and then so I don't know when my episodes are airing because
we're probably never going to air this, so it doesn't really matter.
Good,
I just
good,
wanted
good.
to get free coffee here. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the only reason
That's
we do
nice.
these.
I'm gonna grab a
This
mic.
thing's not even plugged in, dude. Seriously.
That's cool.
But thanks a lot, and thanks for listening
pleasure.
to us. It was very nice to finally get to talk to you.
Oh,
so.
ditto.
Yeah, we'll have to do some. We'll go rent some Segways, drive them down the strip here.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. But thanks a lot. Thanks to Chipper for joining us out here, and thanks for listening to our podcast. See you next time. Bye-bye.